Thank you all so much for joining us for the Budgeting Basics Workshop. Joining us today is Samson Cho, Assistant Director of Casino Marketing and Operational Analytics at the Las Vegas Sands Corporation. He's also a UNLV Elite MBA alumni. He's going to be discussing real-life challenges of budgeting as a graduate student and also obtaining some practical strategies that can help you manage and save your money. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to him to get us started.
Thank you. Thanks, Navner. And welcome. And again, thanks, UNLV. Thank you, Nav, for this opportunity. I'm happy to be here and talking to you guys about budgeting. Just to introduce a little bit about myself, um, I came from Macau. I graduated from UNLV with an MBA back in 2018. And not to reveal my age, I actually obtained an undergraduate degree about a decade and a half ago before I attended an MBA. So I have been on the earth for quite a bit here. And that's some facts about myself. In 2008, I was very exciting about purchasing stocks, buying stocks. And that time, the companies that I own would include Washington Mutual, Bear Stearns. I have Lehman Brothers. I have Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, AIG, the worst companies that you can think of. I own all of them. As a result, I got wiped out, right? And at that time, I'm just a typical person, as Warren Buffett would describe as a person who knows about price of everything and value of nothing. And that was me. And luckily, it didn't push me to the point that I have to go to an entrance of I-15. And if I do, I'm probably going to have a sign saying, need help, give me some food, I'm going to give you some free investment advice. But it didn't happen. And then the next thing is also, I procrastinate a lot, just maybe like a lot of you guys. And why am I saying all this? The reason I'm saying all this is that I truly believe each of you is going to have a greater potential to become successful, much more successful than I do, because you have more time, higher intelligence, more technology. So you guys definitely going to do better. And to do better, why we talk about money here, you need to definitely have some money. And how do you do that? You need to save. And that's why it leads to our today's topic, which is about personal budgeting. So let me turn up my slides here. So today's agenda, we're going to talk about budgeting, of course, and we're going to talk first, why do you have to budget? Some do's and don'ts, and I can't stress this enough. You have to avoid unnecessary debt. You have to pay off your debt. Things that has high interest rate, you need to pay off that. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about budget template. And also, I'm going to touch base on a little bit on the power of compounding. And if we have time, I'd like to get into Q&A session and go through some of the questions that you may have. So first of all, let's talk about what's budgeting. Before I do that, I would like to show you guys a video. The video was about 50 minutes long. And after we watch it, you probably know what I'm going to talk about. But I'm just kidding. So the one sentence to describe budgeting is that a plan to manage your money, save, spend in order to achieve your goal. I think that in my opinion, that's what budgeting is. And you need that to really to be seeing how much you spend, how much you save, how much is coming in order to calculate how much you need to achieve your goal. So why it's important? Again, it helps to manage spending. It will help you to notice some of the habits that you may have, bad habits that you didn't know you have, but it's really hurting your financial well-being. And then it will also bring you down back to earth. And the reason why is if you don't see how much money you have, sometimes you think you are the king of the world and you have all the money that you have, and then you just overspend it. And it always happens, especially when the paycheck comes in, bonuses, casino winnings, all these things that kind of get you to spend more than you could have. And finally, if you want to become financially independent, or in other words, you want to become rich, you need to have money to invest. And that's why you need to save. And that's why you need to do budgeting. Um, and this is what it is to help you achieve your goal. And the goal here, to be honest, I think this is very important, to save up, to save then spend. While as Warren Buffett would say, you need to spend after what's left after saving, not the other way around, not spending what's left after spending. So this is the goal of today, is to help you to monitor what you're spending, what you are saving, and how do you achieve your goals. So next, here are some do's and don'ts. First of all, very important, you have to understand your goals. Then you can determine how much you can save, what kind of revenue you need to have, and so on. And then second, you need to take tax and also other deductions into account. These would include Medicare, Social Security, because the 50,000 you're earning for a year, it might just well be 35,000, because tax, again, Medicare, Social Security, even though you're paying Social Security, I'm not sure you're going to have it in the future, because now it seems like they're definitely overspending on Social Security. And then also you have to include small but regular expenses. This might be coffee, if you smoke, cigarettes, because those things add up. Lastly, what I want to stress one more time, you need to prioritize in paying off the debt. What's so evil about that? The evilness about that is the interest rate, and these are going to kill you, destroy your financial plans in the future. Some don'ts I want to mention is you don't want to create a budget that's too complicated to maintain. If they're too complicated, it takes you an hour a day to update it or to manage it. The chances are you're not going to do it in the long term. A few days after, you might give up. And second, don't forget some infrequent expenses like vacations or oil change that you don't only do it once or twice a year. You need to consider them. If you don't see the whole picture. You don't actually see how much you have left. And lastly, don't get overwhelmed. You need to do it. And it takes a person about 60 to 90 days to build a habit. So you need to accumulate that, do it every day until it becomes natural to you. And it will happen, I assure you. And so that's why don't give up on budgeting. So here, next, I'm going to talk about general rule about the 50, 30, 20% rule. I learned this over the weekend. I didn't know about it before, but it makes sense. The 50%, 30%, 20% rule means 50% of your income should be spent on needs. These would be groceries, rent, mortgage payment, gas, anything that will keep you basically alive and staying in the house. And then 30% of your income should be spent on wants. This would be dinners with friends, lunch, tickets to movies, sporting events, vacation. By the way, not sure if you noticed, we have the BTS event coming here. And I read, each ticket right now is going to cost about 30,000. I'm not sure why, but if you either wealthy enough to pay for it, or if you don't, if you do that, I think you're not going to have much to save. Lastly, the 20% is for the saving. This can be saving for creating an emergency fund, saving to pay off debt, again, credit card payments, saving to invest like stocks, and then make contribution to RRA or just save some cash at the bank. So, but I would stress, again, I want the goal to be to save first and then spend. It may not happen for everyone. This is just a general rule. Everyone's different. And of course, you talk to Jeff Bezos, right? It's really hard for him to spend even 1% of his income every month. That would be maybe in terms of like hundreds of millions of dollars. So everyone's different, it's case by case, and you need to really look into your situation and make that happen. Next, I want to talk about credit card. So we talk about credit card is uh, it's not evil. It's very prominent, and they of course they love you, but they want to use they want you to use their credit card, and once you use credit card, they can earn things off the transaction, right? They can charge the company transaction fee. But what else can they charge you? They would love that if you don't pay off the full balance, and but paying off the balance is actually very important. Not sure if you know about the grace period. The grace period is when the statement closes to the due date, that's usually about 21 days, there's no interest. Given that if you pay things in full, and if you don't, they're going to start charging interest. To give you an extreme example, let's say you have $1,000 in the balance, and at the end, before the due date, you decide, I'm going to pay 99.9% of it. I'm going to pay $999 of it. Okay, you have $1 left, right? In your mind, you probably ask, who cares? Just $1. But now that $1 is going to incur interest rate. $1 cannot incur a lot of interest rate, of course. However, any purchase after is going to incur interest rate. And they calculate interest daily. So to see example, actually, let me give you how they calculate. Let me show you how they calculate interest here. So I actually download a calendar online. I try and but I alter adjust something. So here I have a beginning balance of $500, and then you need to find the annual percentage rate from your credit card statement brochure. Usually it's there. I can't find it because usually as soon as I receive it, I throw them away. But it's there. Uh, I think they range maybe from 15%, 25%, maybe higher. From there, you can calculate a daily interest rate by dividing that by 365, right? 365 days in a year. Dividing that, you get your daily interest rate. Now here is the average daily balance. So we are in March now. So here you can see the yellow wall here is your accumulated balance. And then the red here is the spending. So you buy things, let's say grocery, $50 here, gas, $60, friends dinner, $100. So everything this is going to add up to your balance, and everything is considered here. Now, you for credit card, you don't have the payment at the end of the month. You can make payments throughout the month. So here you make $100 payment, and then that will reduce your balance throughout. Again, this also will help you lower your balance, and that will help lower the interest rate. So after all this, basically, I have an average daily balance. The average daily balance is just the average of the yellow row here. And it seems like the average daily balance is about $1,000. And then the interest payment is the average daily balance multiplied by the daily interest rate. And that gets you about $16 average the interest payment for next month. And that's 1.7%. Remember, that's 1.7% a month. Not a, that many investors that I know will get you a 1.7% a month. That we're talking about over 20% interest like here. So let me give you a very extreme example. Let's say one day you walk on the street, you come across Elon Musk, right? He seems like in a hurry, and actually he lost his wallet, and he has no cash with him, but he wants to buy some raw material for his rocket, and he asks you if you can lend money to him. So of course, it's Elon Musk, and let's say your credit line has no limit. Now you lend $10 million to him, and he promised you that he's going to pay you back next week. Again, it's Elon Musk, of course, he's going to pay you back. So let's say on the 10th, you pay $10 million for him. And then on the 15th, you pay back that 10 million, he gives you the money back, right? So now 100 million, 10 million. And then But just because that 1 week you have that 10 million, now you have to pay a 34 interest, thousand in interest. So this is again how credit card company calculate the interest, and that's why you really need to pay off your full balance. If not, you're gonna lose that grace period privilege there. Hope this is clear. And then let's move on. Next is mortgage loans. Even though I said you have to pay off debt, mortgage is something not many people can avoid. I don't know any of my friends that's paying off houses in cash. Um, I, I want to know them, but probably they don't want to get to know me. But there's some people like that there, but majority of us is actually need a mortgage. They need to pay a monthly payment, and they live in a house throughout their life, right? So a mortgage is basically a financial institution lending you money to pay the seller the full amount, and by lending, of course, there's a loan. You owe the financial institution some money. And the decision you have to make is, do I pay higher or lower down payment? Some lower down payment like FHA, VA loans, you can pay a lower down payment to it. But remember, the lower the down payment, that means the balance is high. The balance is higher means your interest rate is higher. You have to be careful. And some loans, if you don't pay the 20%, they add a PMI to it, right? That's 1%. And 1% in mortgage, it can create a huge difference because it's very long-term loans. So that's why you if you can pay off more, and then you decide whether I want to do a 10-year, 30-year mortgage. This really depends on your ability. Look at the monthly payment, see what your capability is, and then you can decide. Of course, always refinance the lower rates if you can. I believe last year or a couple of years we had a really low rate, so the chances there, and if you get to those chances, definitely refinance. Again, we can look at some calculations here. So let me click on it. First of all, let's just do a simple calculations, right? We have, let's say we borrow about $24,000 here. This might be you borrow like a personal loan, and the interest rate, let's say it's 5%. We're doing monthly. This 1 to 12 is actually a month. So every month you're going to incur about 0.4% in interest rate. And then, so now we have to decide what the payment's going to be. 24 divided by 12 is about 2,000, right? But you see that if you put 2,000 here, at the end you still have a balance. Why is that? That's because there's interest, and in my mind, and I'm not that smart, I can't calculate what this payment is going to be. So I'm going to introduce you one great function, great tool in Excel, and that's called go seek. So you go to go seek, and then you can set cell G. Let's say I want to set this cell to 0, and then by changing this cell, so this is going to calculate what your monthly payment is going to be. It's not 2,000, it's $2,055. And over the course of the loan, you're paying about $700 in interest. So this is a simple loan calculation, use GoSig. Now we can get into a mortgage payment. So here's the mortgage loan amortization. That's what they call it, is what's the monthly that can payment that would, including interest and principal, that would get down the amount that you you're to 0 to get the balance to 0. So I have the original amount here. Let's say houses right now 500,000 normal, right? In Vegas, it might be worth 300,000 before. Okay, what kind of down payment you're paying? So let's say if I'm paying 20% here, So what's left is 400,000 that's going to incur interest that you have to continue to pay. What's interest rate? Let's say it's 5%. Okay, so every month, again, the formula seems a little different because this is considered compounding interest. So, but usually divided by 12, it gets you really close. So 0.41 for every month. What's the year to pay off? Typical loans, mortgage loan would be 30 years, 15 years, 10 years, let's say 30. Now, by using this formula, it's called PMT in Excel. It considers the principal amount and consider interest and consider the time that you are paying, the terms that you're paying for, which is 360 or 30 years. You're paying 360 times because you're paying every month. So 30 times 12 is 360. So it gets you to monthly payment to about $2,100. That's normal, right? In Vegas, I think it's still a lot higher than before, but I think some people should be able to handle it. And as you can see, when you go to 360, the balance gets to zero. That's the 360, and all these calculations have what's the beginning balance, what's your payment, which is this, what's your ending loan balance. The beginning balance is where your interest payment is going to come from. So every time you pay for something, you're going to have an interest. Every time that you have not paid down the balance is going to incur interest. And then, of course, some of that is going to be principal payment. Because if there's no principal payment, that means you're going to have to pay this all your life and your grandchildren's life and everything. So there has to be some principal payment there. But however, the principal payment is very small at the beginning compared to interest payment. They basically have a inverse relationship. And here it is what the principal payment and interest payment is going to look like over the course of the loan. So the blue line is the principal payment, very low at the beginning, very high at the end to pay off everything. Interest payment, very high at the beginning, very low at the end. And this is basically how mortgage loan works out. But something to look for here. You're gonna pay about $363,000 in loans. And that's a great amount. It's the same amount you're buying the house. And that's how banks earn your money. And that's why interest can be really high for these long-term loans. And so just be careful with that, with the interest, with the time that you have to pay off the loan, and also with the down payment. Okay, you see all this, right? What does that gonna do to you? It doesn't do anything at this point, but you understand? Well, how do we compare? So I create something to compare here, which we have a loan A and loan B. This same thing, mortgage loans. And so I'm going to change everything to here. So each time you're going to have a decision to be made. There's the same calculations as previously, but now I have a side-by-side comparison. You can make some decisions off this chart, of this template here. So do I want to refinance? Yes or no? Yes, I want to refinance the lower rate. Let's say it's $500,000 house. This time you're only paying 5% of down payment. So you have 475,000 left that you have to pay off. And then 5% loan, again, divided by 12. This is monthly interest rate. Years to pay off. The payment, number of payment 360. Nothing changed. 2,500 per month. Yeah, reasonable. And the interest over the course of the loan is 431,000. So let's say the first question, do you want to refinance? I do. I want to lower that amount. I want to lower that to, let's say, 3%. Now you save 2% on the interest and see how you're paying about 2,000 a month, $199. I mean, $1,999, and then compared to 2,500. But look at how much interest you can save. You save about 189,000 in interest, and that's about 44% saving in interest. Huge, right? Okay, next, do you want to pay more down payment? Yes, of course. Oh, because I want to lower the interest. If I can pay 20% in down payment, I'm actually going to save about 68,000 in interest, and which equivalent to 14% saving in all total interest payments. That's one thing. And lastly, do you want to pay for short term? Anything that you have, the loan that is shorter, your interest rate is going to be lower. That's given because it doesn't have it's not accumulating as long as the other. So let's say you want to change this term to 15 years, just for you to decide. You're paying 3,700 a month, 48% higher, but also you're going to save $235,000 in total interest payment. Is that huge? That's your call, but I do think that's huge. And if you can, definitely make better decisions in mortgage payment. And if I can combine all of them, while I pay 20% down payment, I'm going to be able to refinance to 3%, 15 year. At the end, I'm actually only be paying a little less than 100,000 in interest. And then I'm going to save, compared to original loan, I'm going to save about 335, 36,000 in interest. And that's where you need to make wiser decisions. And if you can find way to save, definitely you're going to have more money to invest. And that's how you get rich and achieving your goal. Okay, let's go back to our mortgage loans. Now, let's move on the budget template. So what does budget template does? It does help you to keep track of spending, income. It also help you to audit something if something doesn't make sense. Right? It helps you to track progress towards your goals. And also it would allow you to visualize the types of spending that you have and help you to understand. If you don't see it, sometimes you keep a mental note in your mind, and that's not enough. You forget things. Human make all kinds of mistakes. So it's better to lay it all out in a budget template, and so that you can find opportunity to save more. So let me open the budget template that I created yesterday. I told you I kind of procrastinated. So here's the budget template that I had, and on top you have your income. What kind of income you have is capital gains, can be casino winnings, dividends, interest income, rent, wage. You have a property to rent to others. Everything you need to consider your income. You can consider it. You can put it here, and it's part of your income. So one thing I want to say again, as I mentioned, you need to put this down as after tax. You can't just put a face value. No one here in US, uh, the face value is a false amount. It's a lie to yourself. So you definitely need to put the after tax amount, and then you have needs. Sometimes you have car insurance, electricity, or gas, grocery. And some people will put, oh, a new iPhone would be my need, right? Even though I don't think that is, but to some people, it's like a phone is more important than the food, the house that they have. They need a phone. So that's why you need to put it there, and you put, let's say every year in February, you change to a new iPhone. And then some, we need to consider some infrequent expenses like oil change, you do it in June. So this will kind of get you the budget to consider everything. And then lastly is the wants, right? This would be lunch, dinner. Originally, I have this as men's night out, right? I'm not a girl. I don't go to girls' night out, but I mean, logically, you can go to men's night out. And and consider my age, that's why I changed to old man's night out. It sounds more legit, right? And you're probably going to get less questions from your significant other. It's the way it is. and then 10 bags, whatever it is. And then also I will advise you put amount for significant other, even though in your mind you may not be able to do those things, spend those, but by putting it there, if your significant other sees it, I'm sure they like it. But reality is reality. At the end, it depends whether you can spend on those things. And then coffee again, what I did is about $6, 30 days, that's 180 a month. So from here, I have it for every month. And then let's go to, you wonder, why do I have this current day, the month on top? This is for the calculation of what month to day, year to day is. So month to day, because it's March, it's only getting this amount. Let's say I'm going to change this to 5,000. It will change to 5,000, right? Year to date also changes. Year to date will only add the amount up to March at this point. So anything April and on, if I do this to $1 million, it's not going to do anything. But it's just knowing that, oh, this is the reality, how much I actually spend, how much I actually earn compared to the month. And then I have the average here, average, same thing. This average will only consider anything that's today's month and prior, not anything that's over today's month. It's going to be a forecast. It's not going to be considered. It's not actual here. So now, by entering this amount, I have two ways of entering it. Of course, you can enter like this one, gas, I'm going to enter, oh, $40 first time, 50, 60, 50. It's still pretty clear. If you want to be as detailed, you can actually do something for January. I actually did something. I have the date. You can expand it. You can see, you can do first day to 31st day, and then you can enter amount on actual day that happened. But to be honest, I don't like this as much because, again, going back to don't make the budget too complicated. If you make it too complicated, you're gonna lose. You may not want to do it. So I think this will be enough. And on the top now, what you have, you know your income, you know your needs, spend, and then you have wants, spend. After that, this is how much you can save. And you can tell, oh, I saved $1,700 on first month, 22 second month. And at the end, also how much you have saved for currently in this month, how much you have saved year to date. And if you want to know how much you save, you have the potential to save, you can just add everything up. And that's about 67,000 for the year. And in here, so these are the percentage we're going to do. We are spending based on needs, based on wants. Um, Again, we talk about the 50, 30%, 20% rule, right? 50% is the target for your needs, 20% is your wants. So the target actually, you can go here and set it 50, 30%. Let's say 1 month you overspend on certain things. This one, let's say gas went up a lot, just like nowadays. You actually spend $500 on it. Yeah, it changes. My computer is pretty slow, but sorry. So this would signal that it turns to gray. What it means is you overspend on something, and it asks you to tell, hey, you did overspend maybe on this. Can we change something? Maybe uh, I'm not saying you're not going to pay mortgage, but maybe you can give up the iPhone, right? You're not paying anything on the iPhone to keep your iPhone for another year. So it will bring you down the percentage down. Also, another thing is you can do is, okay, 50% is, I think it's too high. Now I'm actually going to be on a stretch. I'm going to make myself really saving money. So I'm going to make this 40%. So now you can see things, you're going to put a stricter goal on yourself, but this is also going to point out a lot of things where the problem may be opportunity are. So generally you can find ways to improve in the future so you don't overspend. And on the right side here, I do have some charts on how much what's the percentage of your income, what type of income those things are. This will include wage. Seems like wage would be the main contributor to your income, and it can be 40%. So So it's a large part of your income. The other part is casino winning. Of course, I'm trying to be optimal here. You're not going to always have winning. Sometimes you're going to have losses. Again, it's casino, right? But some people just do it that way, and they do win jackpots from time to time, and they put that on as the income. It's totally fine. Capital gain type stuff. And the thing that you need to pay attention to is the spending. So the mortgage, when accounted for about 40% majority of your needs, makes sense, but you can see other things. These are needs, so mostly they do make sense. It's really hard to cut them. The chances are maybe it's where in your wants, why maybe you don't want to spend as much on dinner, lunch, maybe you don't go as much to the old man's night out. All these things, it's going to help you to get to the higher savings. So this is the budget template. Well, I want to say one thing here. If you guys want any of these template, I can send it over to Nav, and she will be able to send it out to you guys if you want it. And okay, so after that, I saw the description. Actually, I missed something there. It's about the tools, right? That you can use. I searched online, or I actually downloaded a couple tools. One's called Truebill, one's called Mint. You guys may have heard of it. It's help you to keep track of your budget, your savings, and they're very useful. Um, I don't know because I didn't have time to put in my email and everything. But it seems like they can alert you for any overspending. They can alert you, oh, great job, you did it this month. Some notification to recognize your achievement. And so sometimes they may pop out things like, oh, you save a lot of money. Reward yourself with one man old man's night out, right? Something like that. Like I've not used it again, but there's definitely tons of tools out there that you can use to utilize and help you again make a better budget and to save for the future. So let's move on. Lastly, I mentioned that I'm going to talk about the power of compounding. So, to Albert Einstein's point, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. Honestly, I don't know what the other seven wonders are, but if it's Albert Einstein says it, it must be amazing, right? And I can tell you, compound interest is very amazing. And with the money that you have, if you are disciplined, if you research enough, it's really gonna get you a lot of money in the future. Right? And the three factors that's affecting the principles or not affecting principal, affecting compound interest and how much money you're gonna get in the future is principal, contribution. Second is interest rate. And lastly is the time. I think to me, that's the most important. You guys, I'm sure most of you have much more time than I have. And definitely start early. And I'm going to show you why we have to start early. First of all, let's gonna go through a simple compounding interest example. So let's say you just have put in $100, right? When you're very young, you put into some kind of account. Let's say it's an investment account. You don't make any contribution after. Let's say you do it when you are 10 years old, right? And you wait till that money, maybe 40 years old, and 20%, it might be too optimistic. Let's say do 15%, right? Average stock reinvestment or investment return on stocks. And then, so at the end, so 10 plus 30, at 40 years old, you're going to get 6,000. The $100 is going to turn to 6,000 or almost $7,000 there. I mean, it's amazing, but let's look at what it's going to do at 40 years. For 40 years, you're going to do, um, again, you will need about, you will make 26,000, right? Compared to 7,000, now you're making 27,000. Let's say, you, okay, you say I can wait I can wait for 60 years old, or even you can wait till you're 70 years old. How about 80 years old? Now you're 80 years old. That $100 when you're 10 years old turn to 1.8 million when you're 80 years old. Um, and it takes time. Everything takes time. Uh, but I know a lot of people don't like about time. They're impatient. We're humans. We want things fast, right? And you question here when, first of all, you don't know you're gonna get to 80 years old. Second, it's like when I'm 80 years old, I got that $1.8 million. I have nowhere to spend. I don't know what to spend. I don't. Those are legit questions. However, it just tells you if you are willing to wait, if that it will get you a lot of money at the end. Okay, to be further into like to give you more color on the example, I actually have two scenarios here. The first scenario is when you start to save at age 25. Second is when you start to save at age 35, and when you start saving at age 45. In these cases, everyone's going to save the same, right? Every year you put $1,000 into some kind of investment account, either you invest, and I'm only talking about 10% here. And the first row, everything is the contribution. The second row is the cumulative value, right? This will be your balance for the interest rate for that period plus the previous, the interest rate on the previous balance. So it would just add up. Look at how much you're going to have at age 60. If you start 25 years old, you're going to have almost $300,000, and you only contribute about 36,000. If you want to, uh, if you start at 35, it will going to get you about 110,000. Total contribution 26,000. At 45, it will only get you to 36,000, and you but you contribute less, but that less is not that much less, but your earning power is definitely not less. But to see that in a chart, this is how I graph. And as you can see, when you start at age 25, that's $1,000 you put in the first year and until the end. See that how things diverge at the very end year. And you might say, oh, this is not steep. Depends how you look at it, right? If I squeeze this chart, now you see things very steep, right? It's a visualization trick that people uses. And so definitely this just tells you a story, not story, but a very strong argument on why you have to start early. And I know a lot of you can, and you have to start even though it's very small. And then second thing we're going to do is, okay, you talk about, mm, I don't want to catch up. I don't want to catch up I don't want to catch up to what I missed if I didn't start at 25. So what happens? So we're going to go back to our friend, which is the go seek. I'm going to do go seek here. I'm going to set sell this one to the same amount, right? We talk about 299127 by changing this cell. Okay, so if you don't start at 25 and you want to just have the same result, you need to contribute about 2,700 a month. Okay, let's see what happens to age 45 if you start. And again, we're going to make this amount to 299127 by changing the cell of this $1,000. Let's see how much that's going to be. That's about $8,300. So you have to spend you save $8,300 a year to get to the same amount versus if you start at 25, $1,000 a year. So to catch up is hard, but that's what happens if you don't start early. That's why I say time is very important. Definitely start early if you can. Okay, I want to point out last thing. I actually want to just say point out the something that's small, right? But it's actually going to be detrimental to your financial well-being at the end, or whether that's going to determine whether you're going to become rich or not. So coffee, right? Each day is going to cost $6, right? Let's say, and then you were able to earn 20%. Nothing changed, no contribution. So about 50 years, that $6 is going to grow to $54,000. So $54,000, I don't know how many zips you can get on a coffee. If let's say 20 zips, right? You're talking about $2,500 each zip. So when you drink a zip, $2,500 is gone. So I don't want to stop you from drinking coffee, but sometimes you have to consider these things, how much these monies get. $6 seems small, but if you put in enough time, if you um, consider if you're really investing well, that can go to so much. Another thing is I didn't go through is now you have principal. This contribution is how much you're going to put in every period. In this one is a year, so $1,000 at first, $100 every year. 15% at stake over, and 15% again is going to go to $1 million, almost two. And a lot of times we ask ourselves, hey, why can't we be millionaires? And some of the reason why is we don't value the time, we're not patient, we don't buy things what other people is buying, we overspend a lot of things, including me. I'm still making the same mistakes today, and I will continue to do so because we're human. But you have to know if you want to be rich, you need to be disciplined. And it's better to start today than later. Okay, lastly, I actually want to leave you a few videos. I'm not a very good reader, like I don't read much, and that's probably one reason why I'm not successful. If you want to be successful better, you need to learn about reading. I'm learning now, but I did watch some videos, and these videos I think it really helped me to understand the economy. It helped me to understand about investments. Bill Ackman, as you know, Pershing Square CEO, he was famous for fighting Carl Icahn on the Herbalife case, and between during the COVID, he was able to earn $1 billion in one day. Right, that amazing. Ray Dalio, Bridgewater, again, the best hedge fund um, CEO ever, and his performance is astounding for sure. And this he talks about economic machines. Peter Lynch, again, Fidelity, Magellan Fund, one of the best fund ever in the past. In this video, he will talk about how to make investments, how to choose stocks, and things like that. Ray Dalio again, this video was just posted within a week, maybe two, less than that, but it tells you what the situation US is facing today. Think of it, US is the most developed one, but because of that, they were also has higher responsibility. They have a lot of spending, not just domestically. They have to spend on overseas on things that they with other countries as well. So because of that, in the future, US might be a very dangerous position. I would suggest go ahead and watch this video. Lastly, Warren Buffett, I don't have to talk about him anymore. People knows him, and he's the one, mm, definitely greatest investor of all time, in my opinion. And every time you hear from him, you're gonna learn a lot, and that's where he spoke about investment. Why would you choose some life advice? And definitely, these are great videos. I strongly urge you to watch those if you can. Now, I guess we have a few minutes left. I want to see if anyone have any questions I can answer. Chances are, how to say, I'm still learning, but I'll try my best to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much, Samson. This was super valuable for our participants. I want to open it up to everyone. Do you all have any questions that you want Samson to answer? Thank you, Samson. It looks like we don't have any other questions in the chat, but before we end today's session, we really want to thank Samson for sharing his time and expertise with us. These were very valuable tips and tools for us to implement as we start to get control of our finances. And like Samson said, we'll definitely share all the templates that he shared with you all today so you can start using those. Just want to thank all
Oh,
of our participants for joining us today as well.
thank you. Thanks so much.